It is the 4th of July. A lot of fun's going to happen today. There's going to be a lot of smoke in the air, and we won't be able to breathe, and we won't be able to sleep, and there will be pretty colors involved in all of that. It's going to be an exciting day. Maybe you're barbecuing. I don't know what's going on, but we are celebrating our freedom today, and it's good to have a day that we can do that. But it's also good when we come to church and we can have a lot of fun here. When I come through the doors on Sunday morning, we unlock the doors, turn on the lights, get everything ready. But then the people start coming in, and it's never a boring time. You never know around here what kind of conversation you are going to get plugged into. We've got a lot of unique individuals in our church, and it keeps things fun around here. I've gotten into some conversations where I didn't even know you could form a conversation like that, let alone carry it out. And there are certain individuals who know who I'm talking about because you're the ones that brought up those conversations. But it's fun around here. So today I want to take a different approach to the sermon. Let's talk about ear hair. At least I have your attention. Let's take a second and talk about ear hair. With all seriousness aside, let's talk about this little conundrum of ear hair. And I know the struggle's real. You deal with it too. We all deal with this little tiny issue in life. The older I get, the more this becomes an issue in my life. This wasn't something I used to deal with. This isn't something I used to talk about or even think about. But now don't laugh. It's serious. Like we came to church and he's preaching on ear hair. You never know what's going to happen around here. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen around here. It's becoming more of an issue in my life. I'm only in my 40s. I don't look a day over 90, but I'm only in my 40s, and I'm wondering what is this new development that's going on in my life right now? It seems like the hair on my head is getting sucked into my scalp, and it's relocating itself on my ears. I'm not sure why. I can't think of a good reason for this. And you're laughing. Maybe you don't have this problem, but it's a coming. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in my life. Things are changing. I don't need extra warmth on my ears. I don't suffer with cold ears. So that can't be the reason why this is happening, because I don't have cold ears. And as far as I know, it's not a modesty issue. You don't need your ears covered. This isn't a problem we're having in life, so that can't be the reason why. And it's also not a fashion statement. I don't know of too many people that walk around and say, how do you keep the hair on your ears so beautiful? How do tell me your secret? That's not a conversation people have. So I'm really trying to figure, this week, seriously, I'm preparing a sermon and this comes up in my head. Like, what about ear hair? God, let's talk about this. What's the purpose for it? I can't think of one good reason why it exists. Not one. I can't figure it out. But here's one thing I have learned. It's inevitable. You can do whatever you want to get rid of it. Try any method you want to. It's coming back. I don't know why. I can't think of a good reason for it. But I do know if I try to get rid of it, story's not over there. There's another chapter. Welcome back. And it's inevitable. It doesn't matter what you do. You can try all you want to get rid of it, and it's going to find its way back. Now, just to let you know about another struggle, I have really had a hard time finding verses about ear hair this week. So I need to apply this illustration to something else because I can't find one verse on ear hair. So I want to apply this illustration to the effects of sin. Because you might be thinking of, why did he bring it up? Why is he talking about ear hair? Write it out with me. Just write it out with me. I want to apply it to the effects of sin. And I don't necessarily mean the effects of your own sin, anything that you're dealing with in your life. Whether we like it or not, the effects of sin are inevitable. You're not going to get rid of that. This has been a problem since Adam and Eve. The effects of sin, and it might not be your sin that we're talking about, but the effects of sin in general are going to happen in this world, and there's nothing we're going to do to get around it. And it's not my personal sin that I'm talking about. I'm just talking about sin in general. The curse of sin is here. The effects of sin is here. And you can do all you want to do to get rid of it, and it's going to be there. It's inevitable. Look at what happened during the first 2,500 years of mankind's existence. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 12. Let's look at this verse here. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Within the first 2,500 years of Earth's existence, we went from paradise to God destroying the world. That's some fast work. God created us. Everything was good. No sin, no effects of sin, no sin nature, nothing tainted by sin. And within the first 2,500 years, God says we need to get rid of it all. Let's just get rid of it all. That's some fast work. We do work quickly when it comes to the effects of sin. The first sin was the act of disobedience to God by eating a piece of fruit. That's how we started. And then we see the murder of Abel by his brother Cain. And then we just keep escalating from that point on. And around 200 years later, the effects of sin have taken over the whole world. And God says, we've got to end it all. We've got to wipe this out. Look at verse 5 of the same chapter. Genesis 6, verse 5. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Wickedness was prevailing. Think of how bad the world had to get, where God says, I'm starting over. I'm getting rid of it. I have to destroy it. The intentions of mankind were evil continually. What they thought about, they wanted, and all they wanted was what they thought about. It was just sinful. Sexual sins were on the rise. The rejection of God could be seen at all times by everybody. They wanted nothing to do with God. Evil prevailed. Evil was all you saw anywhere you went. But there was one man who stood out from the crowd. One man. In a world, I don't know what the population of the world was that time, but it was a lot of people. You've got 2,500 years that went by. You've got quite a few people here. One guy stood out. Look at verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. This is an incredible statement. You're looking at a whole world's population, and God says, but there's that one guy. One guy. People often claim to be victims of their environment, but Noah's an example that it does not have to be that way. Because think about what his environment was. Evil continually. The whole world was in this place of evil thoughts and evil intentions. Noah was not taken down by that. So you don't have to be a victim of your environment. Some people say, yeah, I'm just a victim of my environment. It doesn't have to be that way. And Noah's a pretty good example of that. Noah was the only person on the earth that was quickly filling up with people. The earth was quickly filling up with people. He's the only one person on earth who sought after God. Noah remained faithful until the very end. And he remained faithful even though all the cool kids were doing their own thing. Everybody else, that's not cool, Noah. What everybody's doing now is this, and he still stayed faithful. He stayed faithful to God all the way through the whole story. The environment was not enough to shake Noah. And I'm really thankful for this story, and I'm thankful for the life he lived, because he does show it doesn't have to be what everybody says it has to be. You can stay faithful to God even in the tough times. You can stay faithful to God. God knew that the evil had to be shut down. The flood was coming. And I think we can all wrap our minds around that to some extent. The flood had to come because wickedness was so bad. God had to shut down the evil in the world. We can all grasp that to a certain extent. Yes, God had to do something. But what about Noah? This was his world too. This was his home too. A lot of times we think about the wickedness of the world and what had to happen to the wickedness of the world, but do we try to put ourselves in Noah's shoes just for a minute? This was his home. This was his world. I'm sure he had friends and family that he loved, even though they weren't living right for God. I'm sure he had an extended family, and I'm sure he had friends that he hung out with and that he enjoyed their company. Even though they weren't living for God, he did care about those people. Noah's family didn't just consist of his wife and his 3 sons. He had other relatives too. So try to put yourself in his situation for just a minute. This flood was going to impact his life in a huge way. Have you ever thought about his 3 daughters-in-law? Remember, they married in. His 3 sons have wives. They weren't part of Noah's family. They have their own families. They've got people that don't make it onto the ark. They've got a family too. This event was going to be hard on everyone. Everybody. So God decides to help Noah and his family prepare for what's coming. Look at verse 14 of chapter 6. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. God doesn't tell Noah that he's going to avoid the flood. Don't worry, Noah, I got this. You're going to avoid the flood. The flood's not going to affect you. God does not say that because the flood is coming. The flood is going to happen, and it's going to affect every person on the planet. So God tells Noah to start building. The flood's inevitable. The flood's going to come, and it's going to affect your life too. So what I want you to do right now is build. Build. That's the command. I need you to build. From the time God stated that he was going to destroy the earth with the flood until the time the flood came was 120 years. That's a good period of time right there. You got a few minutes to think. Flood's coming. To the time that the flood came was 120 years. The flood was a long way off when God told Noah, it's time to build. Why do I need to start building? Because the flood's coming. He doesn't say, let me give you all the details, Noah. He says, build. Build. Why? Because the flood's coming. Noah just decides to obey. Apparently, it's time to build. Is anything happening right now? No. But apparently, it's time to build. Even though there's no flood, there's no risk, nothing's happening, it must be time to build because God says to build. The world's population would have been able to watch Noah as he built this boat, and it is a good-sized boat. They're watching him for all this time build a boat. One man and his family were preparing while the rest of the world went on with their normal activity. Look at Matthew chapter 24 and verse 38. It says, for as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. Nobody but Noah's group was concerned with the things of God. Not one person. The whole world, they were having weddings. That means you're planning for the future. All the way up to the day Noah went into the ark. These people are not focused on God. They don't care about the warnings. They're not thinking about any of this. They're just enjoying life. 2 Peter tells us that Noah was a preacher of righteousness. He was preaching a message that no one wanted to hear, and he was building something that nobody wanted to be part of. Nobody. The Bible tells us that there were 8 people, 8 human beings on that ark. That's a big boat for 8 people. Of course, they filled it up with animals, but was there room for people? Absolutely. There was more room than just 8, for just 8. God gave everybody an opportunity. Nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to be part of what Noah was doing. And the day that the flood hit was a shock to the world. Thousands of people died that day. The world's population was taken down to 8. Think about the reality of that day. It did happen. This isn't just a parable. This isn't just some story that God put in a book for us to look at and enjoy. This is a historic event. This really did happen. The whole world's population was taken down to 8 people. And I've heard people say that only 8 souls were unaffected by the flood that year. But I feel that the flood was harder on them than anybody else. I think those 8 people suffered more than the rest of the world. These people were in this ark for months. I don't know if you've ever been on the water in a boat. I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't mind being on a boat, but don't take me out in the ocean, because that ocean isn't just sitting still. You're rocking around out there and things are happening. Your body's saying, we're sick. Like, I was feeling fine when I got on the boat. We're not doing good. Yeah, there's something called seasickness. They don't have door number 2. They're on this boat for months. They just lost their family and their friends. Everybody's gone. Their homes were gone. Their world was destroyed, literally. It was destroyed. And it wasn't just over for them. They had to ride it out. It wasn't just over the day the flood came. This story is continuing for these 8 people. They're going through other things because of this flood also. And while it rained and it poured on the outside of the ark, I'm sure the tears were pouring on the inside of the ark, because they have lost friends, they have lost family, their homes are gone. They don't know what the world looks like on the outside of that ark right now, but they know it's bad. They know it's bad, and they just lost everything. These people suffered under the effects of sin, even though they were faithful. These 8 people decided to obey God and get on the ark, but did the effects of sin still hit them? Absolutely. They still suffered with the effects of sin, even though it's not those people who were doing it. But they were safe and God was good, and they knew that. God protected us, and God is still good. Noah had never been through what was coming with the flood. He just knew the reason why it was coming. Sin has consequences. Death happens because of sin's presence. Sin, the effects of sin are going to hit us all, even if you're not involved in sin. You're still going to see the effects of sin. The repercussions of sin itself is going to reach your doorstep, and it's going to reach my doorstep. God never wanted the world to suffer under the effects of sin. Mankind chose that. God did not choose that. We chose to bring in sin. And a lot of times we say, well, if Adam and Eve wouldn't have messed up, we would be fine. Well, how did you do the last time you were offered sin? Did you go for it? Maybe. Then you would have done the same thing. So the opportunity that you're faced with was the same scenario that they were faced with, just different details. Did you resist sin when it was offered to you? Well, no. That's what they did too. We can't blame anybody. We brought sin into the world as mankind. We did this to ourselves. God did not want us to suffer under the effects of sin. We chose that, and we still do. We still choose that. Noah understood that the flood was inevitable, so he prepares. Look at Hebrews 11 and verse 7. By faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. Noah and his family went through one of the greatest losses known to mankind. Now, I've experienced loss in my life, but when I think about what Noah went through, man, that's a lot of loss right there. A lot of loss. God was not punishing them for their sin, but the effects of sin were going to reach them. God told Noah, the world is going to be destroyed. The flood is coming. Why? What did I do? It's not about what you did. It's about what's been caused because of sin, and it's going to reach your doorstep. This past week, a friend of mine was killed in a farming accident. Many of you know about this. You've seen things pop up on Facebook. Maybe you've seen it in the news. But a friend of mine, and a good friend of mine, was killed in a farming accident. He was an incredible man of faith. What happened to Pat was nobody's fault. It just happened. A piece of equipment broke, and he died because of that. Long story short. And his life was gone. He didn't die because of health issues or anything like that. A piece of equipment broke, and he lost his life. And it was nobody's fault. It's just something that happened. My heart sank when I heard that he passed away because of this. And I'm still carrying that. A lot of thoughts are going through my mind. Why did it have to happen? What's going on? Nobody saw this coming. It was just instant. It just happened so fast. So my heart just sank inside of me when I heard that he passed away. But what happened next brought a healing to my life that I did not see coming. His daughter, Kelsey, posted this on Facebook. My dad is in heaven, and if he could come back, he wouldn't. It is well with my soul. My daddy is home now. This family was hit with a flood this week. But by Pat's daughter's post, you can tell that they were not overtaken by that flood. They were not overtaken. Their faith remained strong in God. Pat and his wife had built an ark in their daughter's life, and she's standing firm on that foundation. She lost her father, and she was still able to type, "It is well with my soul." Good for you. Good for you. Her faith was not shaken at all. Her world was shaken. She felt the effects of sin. But she doesn't live according to that. She lives according to her faith in Jesus Christ. Her parents have built an ark, and she's safe. She says, "It is well with my soul." Throughout life, people often blame God when bad things occur. They blame God. God never brought the bad things into play. Mankind brought the bad things into play. We did that. Trials come through the environment that sin has created. Trials do come. Look at John chapter 16 and verse 33. These things have I spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Jesus said that we can find peace in him. In this world, you will have tribulation. There will be suffering. There are going to be tough times, and God did not cause those. The effects of sin ripple throughout all mankind. Bad things happen. Floods come. People pass away. Finances get difficult. People are persecuted for the cause of Christ. Bad things do come. It is inevitable. So what can we do about it? Build. Build. Right now, start building. Build on the foundation of Jesus Christ in your life right now. When are the struggles going to come? When are the tough times going to hit? I don't know. So what can you do in the meantime? Start building. Start building. Yeah, but I didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter. The effects of sin are going to come your way too. You are going to be hit with tough times. And you might think, why did I come to church today? This is not encouraging. What do you mean bad things are coming my way? It's inevitable. It's inevitable. And you don't have to do something wrong for the bad things to reach you. Tough times come. Tough times come. So how do you prepare for those? Let me give you the hint right now. Build. Build right now. Start building right now. Yeah, but I don't know what it's going to look like. Do you know what he looks like? Then start building on him right now. Because when the tough times do come, when the floods do come, you will be prepared because your foundation is Jesus Christ, and you will make it through whatever comes your way because you started building today and didn't wait to build until the crisis hits you. So today, start building. Build on the foundation of Jesus Christ. The next couple verses I'm going to show you apply to your placing your faith in Jesus Christ for salvation. But this same Jesus offers the strength to withstand any flood that comes in your life. Not just salvation alone, but he does give you the strength to make it through whatever. So look at Matthew chapter 7 and verse 24. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. As Christians, we need to beware of making the same mistakes that many people have made before us. They place their faith in Jesus Christ for salvation, but neglect him in everyday living. I'm saved, I'm good, I've got my ticket to heaven, I'm cashing out now. Don't stop there. Yes, God is good, and he offers salvation, and it is free, but don't think it's time to cash out once you've got that. And a lot of people do find the amazing gift of salvation to be incredible. I do too. But Jesus doesn't say, well, that's the last chapter. Once I save you, you're on your own. No, he says, now I'm with you. Let's do this together. Build. When the floods start coming, those people, their faith is shaken because their relationship with Christ is only as deep as salvation. They never build on that. Build on that. Don't say salvation is good enough and stop moving forward. Build on Jesus Christ. My friend Pat, his wife and daughter's faith was not shaken because Jesus was more to them than a free ticket to heaven. He was their all in all. He was everything. Salvation wasn't where it ended with them. They built a relationship with Jesus Christ. So their strength is amazing. And you might say, well, you have incredible faith. I'm sure they would both say, no, my faith has been shaken, but I have an incredible God. It's not my faith that's impressive, it's my God that's impressive, and that's why I'm able to stand. Because they did not call salvation enough. They built a relationship with Jesus Christ. In this parable, Jesus tells us, he refers to more than salvation. Jesus is a foundation. He's not just a ticket to heaven. He's a foundation. We often notice the rock in this parable. Well, they were safe because the wise men built his house on a rock. That we notice the rock, but we miss the fact that the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. It does not say that because it's on the rock, the floods never came and the winds never blew. No, it says that the rain descended, the floods came, and the wind blew and beat on the house. Yeah, but they were on the rock. It doesn't matter. The effects of sin are going to reach you even though you're on the rock. Bad times come. The wise man was able to endure because of the foundation he built on, but it doesn't mean that the storms didn't reach him. He was able to stand in the middle of the storm because of the foundation he was on. I wish I could tell everyone that the difficult times were never going to reach you where you are. I really wish I could say that. But we live in a broken world and the floods do come. They do come. We all face tough times. Every single one of us do face them. We have faced them and we are going to face more. It's going to come. God told Noah that the floods were coming. The bad times were eventually going to reach you. The flood is going to reach you. What did I do? It doesn't matter what you did. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because the effects of sin ripple throughout all mankind. It is going to reach you. That's why he told them to build while things were still calm. You need to start building now because eventually the rough times hit. They do come. We quickly run to God when the flood waters rise. Boy, are we seeking God strong when the waters start rising. We cry out for mercy in the middle of catastrophes. We all do this. So did the people in Noah's time. When they saw the flood waters rising, when they saw the flood hit, they were crying out. They wanted something too. Look at David's advice in Psalm 63. Psalm 63 and verse 1. O God, you are my God. Early will I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. This isn't just the idea of seeking God early in the day. It's morning, I need to seek God now. Oh, by the way, do that. That's a good time to seek the Lord. But it's about seeking him before anything happens. Early. Before the catastrophe hits, I was already seeking you. I was already longing for you. I was already communing with you before anything happened. If Noah had waited to start building until he saw the waters rising, this story would be a lot shorter than it is. So would ours. I'm glad he was faithful. I'm glad he obeyed and started building when he was told to build. This is the time to build, right now, right today. And nothing bad's happening today. Good. Then you have time to build. You can build today. This is the time to learn about how faithful your foundation is in Christ. He is strong. He is strong. Build on Jesus Christ today. Don't wait till the crisis comes. Build today. We cannot wait until the floods come before we start building our lives around Jesus Christ. I have to do that. You have to do that today. We need to be doing this now. He's so much more than our ticket to heaven. Please don't stop there. Yes, thank God for salvation. Thank God that because of him, we get to go to heaven. Thank God for that. But he's so much more than a free ticket. He's a person that loves you and has invested his life into your life, so do the same. Invest your life in his. Build on that relationship. Jesus is the foundation that every church out there should be encouraging their people to build on all the time. It's not just about numbers that you can write down. We had so many people saved this year. How many people did you have growing this year? How many people did you have building on that relationship with Jesus Christ rather than just receiving a relationship with Jesus Christ? What did you build on? Yeah, we can all mark numbers on the wall or have charts or whatever to show how many people were saved. I'm not impressed. I thank God for their salvation, but what are they doing now? Are they building on their relationship with Jesus Christ? When Paul was talking to the Corinthian church about how a church should be built, this is the message he was preaching. Look at 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 9. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field. You are God's building. According to the grace of God which was given to me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds on it. But let each one take heed how he builds on it. For no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. We as a church must build on the foundation that was laid for us. We work together and we build each other up in Christ. I'm there to support you, you're there to support me, but daily I need to be building my relationship on Jesus Christ also. Same as you, we need to be building now. Not when the floods come, we need to build now to strengthen your life, to strengthen your faith in Jesus Christ. It's something that you do in the time when it's calm, not only the time when the floods come. We have to build now. The danger comes when we don't start building until it's time to rebuild. And a lot of people wait until it's time to rebuild. That's when they start building. Man, God, I wish I was where I was supposed to be when this crisis hit. Now I've got to work. Now I've got to get back to church. Now I've got to start reading your word. Now I've got to do something because the crisis hit and I realized I wasn't where I was supposed to be. So now I will build. A lot of times people wait until it's time to rebuild. And they don't do anything when it's time to build. It's time to build. Today, it is time to build. In Noah's time, the whole world was so busy living life that they never considered God in anything that they did. Yeah, God wasn't something, he wasn't in the front of my mind at all, because I was living life. Their first serious thought about God was in the middle of the crisis, and then it was too late. Boy, they were serious about God in that few moments. They were really seeking God in that few moments, but they weren't seeking God for who he was. They were seeking God for the help in the situation that they were in. Seek God early. Right now is early. That means before the crisis happens. Right now is early. Tough times are going to come. It's inevitable. But will you be prepared to go through them? That's a good question to ask. Are you ready to go through it? No, don't bring it yet. No, I'm not ready. I understand that side of it. I'm not ready either. I don't want to see the bad times come. But if they came today, would I have the strength to get through them because I have based my life around the foundation of Jesus Christ? And that's where my faith is placed. When your life is built around Christ, everything you do reflects Christ. It all shows Christ. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, one of my favorite stories in the Bible, always has been. These three guys really intrigue me. Three young guys. They are staring down a barrel of some pretty rough times in Daniel chapter 3. It's going to get bumpy. King Nebuchadnezzar just told them that to bow down to the image that he set up, or otherwise he's going to throw them into the fiery furnace. That would be a terrifying moment. especially when nobody else is doing this. Everybody else is bowing down to the king. So you three, if you don't bow down also, you will be thrown into the fiery furnace. And the king's serious. He actually has a reputation of throwing people into the furnace. Now you're standing in a situation, he means it. He means it. He will do this. But look at their response to him. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 17. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up. That's when the wrath of the king comes down hard on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He had the furnace cranked up hotter than it's been before, and he threw them in. God did not spare Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the fiery furnace. The effects of sin reached them. They got thrown in. He just gave them a place to stand while they were going through it. Right next to him. I'm coming through it with you. Why are you there with them? Because they've been there with me. We go together. They built their foundation on who I am, and I will stand firm. I am a firm foundation. The king looks into the fiery furnace like, we threw 3 people in there. Absolutely. There's 4. Who's the 4th one? That's the rock that they stand on. And wherever they go, he goes too. Shouldn't they be consumed by the fire? They're consumed by that 4th guy. The fire can't consume them because their life is consumed by him. The foundation went in there with them. Did the bad times hit? Yes, the bad times came. Did they go through hardships? Yes, they did. Was the fear building up inside of them? There's a good possibility it was. Put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, I'm scared. They were probably too. But that didn't matter. They were going to remain faithful. The foundation went in too. When the king brought them out of the fiery furnace, he told them that he wanted to serve their God too. That's an incredible story. He said, yeah, I'm, that 4th guy you were standing up with? Yeah? Can you introduce me? He's really, really cool. I want a relationship with him too. How did they have the strength to face that moment of severe testing? They built their life around God. They started building way before the fiery furnace chapter came into their life. They were building early. The floods are eventually going to come. They are going to come. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's just reality. Are the bad times coming? Yeah, they're coming. They're coming for me too. Don't be afraid of them. It's just life. It's just what we have on this earth. The effects of sin are coming our way. It's inevitable. There's no way to get around that. How will you handle them? Will you wish you had a stronger relationship with the person of Jesus Christ when they come? Man, I wish I had stronger faith. I wish I had more faith. I wish I had a closer relationship with God right now. Or will you praise him because you already started building early? You started building when his word told you to build. You started building. As long as we're on this earth, we are going to have struggles and we are going to have trials until Jesus Christ returns. It just comes with the world we created for ourselves. Trials do come. How we handle those moments all depends on how we're prepared for those moments. Think about that. How you're going to make it through those moments is determined by how you prepared to make it through those moments. I don't know what they're going to be like. Do you still know who the foundation is? Absolutely. Then let's just make sure the foundation is where we're spending our time, because it's a strong foundation. We need to make sure our life is being built on the foundation. That way, when the winds beat against the house, it stands strong because it was built on that foundation. When the floods do come, we won't be affected. It won't destroy us. It won't overwhelm us because of the foundation we built our life on. Build. Don't wait. Build now. Build today. It's so much more effort to strengthen yourself in the middle of the trials than it is to let God strengthen you before the trials. It's a lot harder to strengthen yourself in the middle of the crisis. Solomon encouraged us to seek after God. He wrote this, Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. Solomon loved speaking in Proverbs. Really wise people sound like this sometimes. You're really smart. Hold on, one more time. So let's read it one more time. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. You're going to have to work a whole lot harder if you don't do the preparation in advance. If you don't get ready for it before, that means during the moment that you have, when you're being tested, when you're being tried, when the flood waters start coming, you're going to have to work a whole lot harder for that strength because you weren't prepared early. What Solomon said is really profound. If you wait to prepare, you will struggle more when the floods come. It's time to build. Right now, it's time to build. The ark had to be built before the flood waters came. Be wise. Please be wise. Build now and set the example for those around you. Why are you always chasing after God? Why are you always building on Jesus Christ? Because the winds will blow and the waters will rise. Tough times are going to come. They are going to come. Why? What'd you do? It's not what I did. It's where we live. It's the environment of this earth right now. One day, Jesus Christ is going to come back and he is going to set this all right. He's going to set it all right. But right now, struggles do come. Floods do. The waters do rise. The winds do beat against the house. If you want to make sure you stand strong during those times, then build on the foundation of Jesus Christ today. Build today. This is the time to build. It's not when the crisis comes. It's just amazing to me, no matter how much Satan wants to destroy us, no matter how much he wants to get involved in our life and take us down, he cannot take you down when you are all consumed with Jesus Christ. He can hit as hard as he wants to. The fire can be turned up 7 times hotter than ever before. And you just stand there in fellowship with Christ as the fires build around you. I'm sure that frustrates him. So please, along with me, let's do something. Let's frustrate Satan. Let's go for it. Frustrate him. I bet he hates it when he sees a child of God excited about God when the flood waters are rising. This is supposed to take you down. Flood waters mean nothing when you're hanging out with a guy who walks on the water. Amen. Build now. Build now. Your relationship with Jesus Christ is more than a ticket into heaven. It is how we get through the struggles in this life. Build.